Well, we found out how wheat harvest is progressing. So Kim, what's the market looking like?
Well, if you look at wheat prices, they've been wallowing around for the last week. You know, they finally, quote, stabilized. I don't think that stability is going to last very long. You know, we were up around $8.55. We rammed it down to $7.44. We came back up to around $7.75. We're back down around $7.45 for harvest delivered wheat. You look at the spread between the soft red winter wheat and the hard red winter wheat. Remember we talked about a couple months ago, that was $2.50 with hard red, a premium to soft red. Well, that premium now is down to $1.50 hard to red. I think we need to look at world production. It's been a record 29.4 billion bushels. 29 billion bushel record last year, so we've got lots of wheat around the world. And so you look back at that price, it indicates to me there's some downside pressure there. Russia, 3.1 plus billion bushels, 3.4, just under that last year. Their average is 29 billion. Russia's got a lot of wheat to put on the export market. That's probably going to pressure our price. And Ukraine, 643 million bushels for their production this year. Their average is 981. I think Ukraine will continue to export that, but that's a big question mark.
So we talked earlier in the show that rains have kind of stopped wheat harvest a little bit, but has it affected the quality of the wheat crop at all?
Well, it's probably had some impact on test weight, maybe a little bit on protein. Somebody asked me if I'd heard anything about sprouting. I haven't heard that yet, but if it continues to rain in certain areas, we could get some sprout damage for the wheat. But right now, I think things are going relatively well.
So let's shift on to corn. What's the latest news there?
Well, corn prices went down. You know, they were relatively high. They got down around $4.75. They're back up around $5.30. The corn is getting planted and is planted relatively well. It's turning dry in some of those areas, and drought is putting its ugly head up, and it's the market's concerned, and so corn prices have been going higher. You look at what the current corn price, if you happen to have some corn to sell, $6.40 at up around Manford, Pond Creek. The 23 harvest price, $5.30. As we talked about the drought, the crop conditions lowered the condition of corn down to around 62%. And Brazil is going to have 11% increase in their corn crop and record there, and that can probably put some pressure on corn prices later on.
Well, what about soybean?
Well, if you look at the soybean market, we were up around $12.50, got around $10.70. We've increased almost $1 back up to $11.65 for harvest delivered beans. I think we need to look at production for the United States, around 4.5 billion bushels, a record there. Brazil, 6 billion bushel record. Argentina, they had problems with their soybean production this year, 1.8 billion bushel. Exports, United States, 2 billion. Brazil, 3.5 plus billion bushels, number one soybean exporter, number one soybean producer. And then Argentina, with their production problems, only around 200 million bushel production there. Brazil, 24% increase in their production of soybeans this year.
Any good news at all happening in the crop markets?
Well, I think the crops are coming on relatively good. These rains, where there's some potential to damage the hard red winter wheat crop that we're harvesting, I think it's positive for our summer crops, our corn, our beans, our cotton. I think, and there is, I believe, the largest return. So bring on the rain. Stop it where we can get this wheat in. But I think the good news is the summer crops are looking relatively well right now, and prices are holding up relatively high.
All righty, thanks, Kim. Dr. Kim Anderson, grain marketing specialist here at Oklahoma State University.